Okay, so we're going to cover off the payments. Now there's a number of ways in which you can set up payments on the system based on the way that your club operates. So just going to check into the chat box to see where you want me to go on this. So do you want me to go back to setting up a class and see what it looks like setting up the class fees there, and maybe looking at some of the payment table stuffs and how we calculate those payments for squads in particular? We can do that. We can have a look at the upcoming payment reports. We can have a look at the financial reports. We can dive into any of those and go into some detail. So tell me, guys, what would you like us to do? Okay, so can you talk about changing to London Zurich? Yes, oh, my favorite subject, London Zurich. Yeah, I can talk about that towards the end for sure. Okay, so I think a good place to start is how we do request payments. So I'm going to look mainly here at classes because that's what you guys do, gymnastics clubs. That's where you'll spend much of your efforts in here. We can have a look also on ad hoc payment requests. It's a very underutilized part of our system. It was actually one of the first functions on the system about 9 years ago, but not many people use it, so we can take a look at that as well. All right, so if I click into classes, I've already got set up here a couple of different ways in which we can request payment for classes. So very typical for a gymnastics club to request payment on a termly basis, on a half-termly basis, monthly. So you might operate for, I don't know, 48 weeks of the year, and you divide all that by 12 to come up with your monthly fee. And then you've got your squads that are charged based on the number of hours that they train in a week, then rolled up either into a monthly fee or a term. So, you know, there's different ways in which you can request payment, and you'll all have your own way. There are pros and cons. I was actually having a conversation earlier in the week about the pros of termly fees against monthly fees. Monthly is nice because the system will just take care of that for you. Every month it will just pick up the payment, you'll request it, pick it up automatically. So pretty good from a cash flow perspective. But the downside of it is there's less of a commitment from the gymnasts. So they could drop in, also they could drop out you know, during the month, and as much as you might want to try and reinforce, look, you've got to give us a month's notice. In reality, what are you going to do? You're not going to chase them hard for that month. Whereas actually, if they pay up for the term or I don't know, blocks of weeks, say 10 weeks, then you know you've got a bit more commitment from them. So our system, as you know, can manage all those different scenarios. So if I look at this one here, first of all, this Tuesday 6 till 7. This is a monthly one. If you've got your classes set up, then I'm sure you're very familiar with this already, so I won't spend too long on this. So when you're setting up a class, you can say, look, we're going to enter the cost for the class. We enter a duration, so you can say it's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and I'll come back to that when we talk about the payment tables and the squads, or there's no charge for the class. So it's normally these first two that you'd select. And then when people pay for the class, is it a one-off payment or is it a recurring payment? So if it's a termly class, then it's you'll select one-off, and if it's a recurring payment, then you just select monthly. And then you put the cost of the class in there. Then anybody you add into that class, if I just come over here to contacts, I'm going to come into my master contact list and just grab somebody from my contact list and put them into that class. So let's take this chap here. I'm going to copy them into that monthly fee one there. And you'll be fairly familiar with this, I'm sure. The system will say, do you want to schedule a payment request now? Do you want to do it later or not at all? So if you was, I don't know, involved, you were just doing your admin, you was getting people into the right groups, then you probably say, yeah, I'm going to schedule that payment request later. If that is the case, then you come over to financials and then payment request to be scheduled, and then you can find them then. Or if you was happy just to do it now, then you would select the first one. So when you are adding and moving people into groups, it might be that you're bringing somebody off your waiting list and you're dropping them into the class. It might be that somebody is moving from one class to another. It might be that you've added them manually into the class. Maybe they've given you a paper form. They don't do online, so you put them in there. Whichever way you do it, you're going to get this pop-up come up. Okay, so we're going to schedule that payment request now. So Isabella. Now, if you are running monthly and somebody's joined halfway through the month, the system at the moment doesn't automatically pro-rata that amount. In version 2, it will do. So you have to come in here and change that amount. One thing to be aware of here, that when you do change that amount and you go, well, let me just check the email that's going to go out. Hold on, why is it still saying £25 when I enter £12.50? It's because we haven't saved it. So you don't really need to save it to do it. The system's just going to insert that in there. So yeah, you can pro-rata that down to where you are in the month. But one thing to watch out for is that what you're doing here is you're saying to the system, right, it's going to be for this person, it's going to be £12.50 a month. So you need to go back in there after you've requested payment, give it 2 minutes, and then change it back to £25 for the next month. So thereafter, it will carry on. In version 2, you won't need to do that. The system will pick that up. So we just have a quick look at this email that's going to go out. This is just a pre-cam one that tells them how much it is, what it's for, the username, and the link where they're going to go and log in. Okay, so I'm just going to click on, well, actually, before I click on Save and Finish, just a couple of options to look for in here. If you go to Actions, you can either delete that payment request if you wanted to. If you had, I don't know, a few hundred here and you wanted to queue these payments to go out at a later stage, then you can just come in here to Actions, Apply Payment Request Date, and select the new request date and apply it to everybody. You can change the amount to be requested in bulk. You can turn off the email, which I'm going to do here, so I don't need to send a dummy email. When you turn off the email, you can see that this then goes, it's not hyperlinked anymore. That indicates that the email has been turned off, and it will be turned off for future requests. I think I'm right in saying. What else have we got going on here? We can turn the email back on, or we can edit the email template. So if you have a few hundred here, and for whatever reason you wanted to edit the email template, if you come to Actions and Edit Email Template, you'll notice here that this is blank. And the reason it's blank is you might have 20 people from your Tuesday 4 till 5 class. You might have 30 people from your preschool. You might have 50 people from your squads, whatever the numbers are. And each of those payment request emails might be different. So we can't serve you up one payment request email for you just to go in and edit, because we don't know which one to serve you. So we give you a blank canvas to go in there and write again. If you wanted to edit on an individual basis, then you can just come in here and click on edit here. And then you'll be able to edit that email template specifically for that person. Okay, a couple of things to look out for in here. You can filter by group. So again, if you had a long list of people here and you wanted to filter by siblings, for example, so the way that the system works at the moment with your sibling discount is that we identify who those siblings are, we put them into a sibling group, and then we say, all right, filter all these people by siblings, and then it will just bring back the siblings, and then we can apply discount as an example. In version 2, we're handling discounts in a completely different way, much more slick and automated manner. Right, any questions on this page here, guys? Actually, just before I pick up the questions, just one other thing here. You see this drop down, contacts with a valid email address and contacts without, contacts with an auto-generated email ID. Mouthful that is. So the difference or the reason for the drop down is that if somebody doesn't have an email address and you've generated them a dummy one, if you like, by the system, then you can filter on those dummy ones, and then you can come in here and you can print out the payment requests rather than email them. Right, just going to go over to the chat to see if there's any questions over here. Definitely reports, please, especially for accounting purposes. Yeah, when will version 2 be ready? So we're working on it now, have been since January. Because of COVID, it's certainly slowed us down by a couple of months. We hope to have a minimal viable product early part of 2021. So that's our time frame. So minimum viable product. What does that mean? It means that we probably won't be delivering you everything in one bulk. We will be releasing the minimal viable product, which for me is you need to manage your contacts, you need to manage your payments, and then we'll be adding all the other layers on top of it as we go. So yeah, that's a time frame. But yeah, I've been working on it this week, more on the front end and the workflows, and I've had a look at some of the stuff that the IT team had been working on, and it's starting to look very slick. So yeah, very excited for that. Will the costs for clubs stay the same with version 2's release? Yes, there's no change. There's a number of reasons why we're doing it, but the primary reason is the system that we've got now. We started that in 2009 and it went live in 2011, and we've just layered and layered and layered more and more functionality on top of it. And at some stage, you've got to step back and go, okay, right, this is what we built. Now, if we were to build this again, how would we do it different, and how could we make it better? And that's what we've done. So we've got the benefit of hindsight as well now, as we know how the your world operates. So we can now build it with all that knowledge and all the things that we've learned and all that feedback that we've had over the last 10 years or so. Okay, so right, I'm just going to click on save and finish. Now, one point to note here, the system works in 2-minute cycles. So when I click on save and finish, it might be that this does not instantly appear as a debt outstanding against Isabella. Depends where you are in the 2-minute cycle. If you're at the end of the 2-minute cycle, then it will pick it up straight away. But if you're at the beginning of the 2-minute cycle, then it will take 2 minutes. So I'm going to click on save and finish. All right, so that's for your monthlies. Just to show you, in case you haven't seen it, how we manage your squads. So with the squads, it's typically done with a payment table. So your payment table gives you that scale of discount. So if I click on edit here, so I've just created a small payment table here. So look, for 2 hours, it's 50 quid, 3 hours, it's 74, 85, and so on. I put hours, these could be sessions as well. So we build the payment table, then we create the classes. So I've come in here, so I've got a Monday 6 till 8, and I've got a Tuesday 5 to 7. If I click on edit here, you'll see here, it says enter the duration of the class in hours and minutes. So I've selected, okay, I want to use this squad payment table. And it might be you have different payment tables for different squads. I've seen it used on the rec side as well. So you can have multiple payment tables. So I'm going to say, yeah, this runs for 2 hours. And I've done the same for that other one here. Said that runs for 2 hours as well. And what the system does, it will say, okay, Janie, I can see that you're in the Monday 6 till 8, and I know that's 2 hours because we told it's 2 hours, and I can see that you're in that Tuesday 5 till 7, that's 2 hours, right? So you do 4 hours. So it will then go over to the payment table and say, okay, right, what's 4 hours? So it will come in here and go, 4 hours is £85. Okay, fine, got that. But then we need something to finish the calculation for us. We have something here called the payment calculator. Let me just show you this. So in here, we need to tell the system, okay, so she's doing 4 hours a week, and that rolled up to a monthly fee, well, a fee of £85. But what is that? Is that a monthly fee? Is that a biannually? Is it, or is it a single fee, i.e. a term fee? So here is really where we select that frequency of collection. So I've actually set this up as a recurring monthly fee. Then I need to say, okay, well, which classes do you need to consider when I'm making this calculation? So you'd select the classes that you've set up for your squads. And then finally, which payment table should I use? As I mentioned earlier on, there could be multiple payment tables. So it's this one for the squad. So the system can now figure out, okay, this is the number of hours you're doing. I've told the system it's going to be monthly, and these are the classes that we're going to look at. So if I went over here and grab somebody, and let's take somebody who's not in that. Let's take here and go actions, copy to new group. I'm going to put them into this one and this one, which are the squad ones that are running for 2 hours. We've exceeded the number of people. Great. Okay, I'm just going to stick them into one of them. Okay, I've stuck them in there. In actual fact, I should have at the same time put them into another group. Let me just, sorry, pilot error there. In actual fact, I can do this. Which one was it? I think it was Amelia. Okay, so I've added her into the class, but I also need to add her into the payment calculator so the system can calculate that figure for us. I'm just going to come over here to actions, copy to new group. I'm going to put her into the monthly squad fees, click on OK. It's going to schedule the payment request now. It's going to come back £50 because it's picked up the fact that she's in a class and that class is 2 hours and it's monthly. So that's how that works in case you wasn't already familiar with that functionality. All right. So that's your class fees. I can take a quick look over here at these ad hoc payment requests. As I say, this is pretty old functionality, but it's still functional. So in here, you could come and say, okay, right, I want to request an ad hoc payment for people in this Monday 4 till 5 class. And you'd give it a description. I don't know, maybe somebody's bought some chalk, for example. I just want to record that. So we can put in chalk there. And normally what you'd use this for is a one-off payment. So you could say, I don't know, whatever it is, £2 and it's due within 1 day, and you send in a reminder every 5 days. But you can set up recurring payments here as well, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly or annually. Or you can actually set it for specific dates. And you can add multiple dates. So if you said, all right, I want to request payment on Thursday the 5th, and then Thursday the 12th, and then Thursday the 19th, you can actually do that here, and then the system would stop after that, after those dates. So there's some nice functionality in here. Come down here, you can write your email. Now, if you can choose to write your email and it will send the email out for you, or if actually all you want to do is put a debt against their name for £2 so you can record it, you just leave that blank. So if I just click on next, and then I can come down here and say, okay, yeah, it was for Charlotte, and she's actually already paid me £2 and she paid cash. So it's going to generate the payment request without sending because I didn't put anything in the email. So that's the ad hoc payment feature. Any questions, guys? One in the chat box. What's the benefit of having squad groups over classes if they are paying monthly? Is there a benefit, or is it just two ways of doing the same thing? What's the benefit of having squad groups over classes? If you're referring to squad groups, are you just referring to what I've called them, i.e. squad, or are you talking about actually setting up groups for squads?
Hi Dave, it's Ruth. At the moment I've got my classes set up, and I put people into they put themselves into the classes that they're in. So it might be a 2-hour class on a Monday, 2-hour class on a Wednesday. Yep. Therefore they're paying they're training for 4 hours, so they pay the fee, which is 4 hours, which is calculated through the classes. Is there a benefit of doing this as a squad group? Because it sounds like the same thing, just a different way of doing it.
Yeah, well, it was just in the description. So are you referring to the fact that I've called it squad here?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's just that's what my just to prompt me, so I knew which ones were actually set up on a payment table. So
okay.
It was just a description.
Okay, so I'm probably doing it like that already. I just call it something slightly different.
Yeah, correct. There isn't a class for a squad as such. It's really defined by what you do here because it tends to be the squads that are on these payment tables.
Okay, no worries. I just thought I might be missing a trick. That's all.
No, I think you're doing it. You're doing it the right way. Okay, Marissa. I had to cancel somebody's optional extra payments on GoCardless so they didn't have funds to pay yet. How can I set the payments again? Or how can the parents select the cancel payment to pay at the end of the month? Okay, so did you cancel it and delete it? Or did you, and when you say cancel payment, was that you rang up Go Cardless and cancelled the payment with them?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi, yeah. No, so I cancelled it on Go Cardless. I've logged into the Go Cardless website, and I haven't deleted the payment request. So on Love Admin, I can still see the cancelled payment requests on the profile of the person. But when I log in and view it from their point of view, I can't see it. So I'm just wondering how she can go about paying it at the end of the month, or whether I have to set the payment again for it to come out.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what to do.
I'm surprised. So when you're looking at it in your payment reports, it still shows it as outstanding?
Yeah, so if I log on to her, if I view as her login, I can see it as an outstanding payment against her account because I haven't deleted the payment request.
Oh, that's fine. So she would just log in and make payment against it?
That's what I thought, but I just couldn't see. Oh no, sorry. When I log in from my side, I can see it as an outstanding payment, but when I log in from her view, I can't see it as an outstanding payment unless it takes a while to come through to her view.
No. I mean, it should be there. Can you email me, Parissa, david@loveadmin.com, the name of the member, and I'll check that afterwards. Worst case scenario is you delete the payment request and just request it again.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thanks. Okay, anything else on here? No. All right, so let's have a look next. What have I got? What does it look like from the member side? So I think you're all familiar with what you can. Let's go into Daisy's record here. That you can go into somebody's record, you can go to actions, and you can go to view contacts login. So you can see it from the member's perspective. So if I click on payment, I can see here the club membership is due, and I can make payment here. I don't know whether you're familiar with what it looks like on the app, so I'm just going to switch over to the app. Bear with. Okay, you should be able to see the app now. Yep. So click on the payments tab, and it will bring back what's outstanding. So here for Daisy, it's the club membership. Click on pay now, and total payable is £25. I actually haven't got a LNZ or Go Cardless or a PayPal account selected here. If I did, then it would appear here, and I can select that payment method. They can also track to see what's been paid over a given date range. So here I can see that £20 was paid on the 10th of July for my Monday 4 till 5 class, and I can bring back the details of that. So it's paid by check, and the payment status is paid. So quite simple from a member's perspective on the payment side of things. Okay, let's switch back to web application. Any questions on that, guys? I'll switch from the app. No? Okay. Back to the website. Okay, I'm going to switch back. Recording offline payments. So financials, record offline payments. So in here, you can view outstanding payments by request. So this would have, say, all your classes down here, and you can go into the individual classes and record it. Or you can just get a list of everybody if you wanted just to see the whole shebang. So if I come into my Monday 4 till 5, so in here, you can filter it by group. So if, for example, you was doing, I don't know, club membership, so it's across 1,000 people, but actually you was wanting to work through a Monday 4 till 5 class, you could filter the results here just to narrow down, so you've got less scrolling to go on. You can change the amount due if you wanted to do that. You can put it up, you can put it down. You can just tick off somebody's paid. You can record a part payment, and you can record the date they paid as well. So that will go back. You can see here that this one goes back to the 12th of July. So it must have been that I requested payment on the 12th. You obviously can't record payments that somebody's paid before you actually requested it. So that's quite useful if somebody's given you a check and you need to mark off that they actually gave you the money on the 14th. So you can record that accordingly. Just one point on this. If you do mark somebody's recording off as an offline payment, the system will remember how they paid last time. So you don't have to come here and make the change again. It will just remember it. You can see here that person must have paid cash last time, that one paid by bank transfer, and so on. Okay, so I'm just going to save that. Actually, anything we need to do here for you guys. Yeah, you can delete, you can apply payment method, you can apply payment dates, you can just do some stuff in bulk. Gymnastics clubs don't really do anything by installments, so we won't cover that. Right, click on save, and that's done. Okay, now over to the reports. So financials, payment reports, record offline payments where we was, upcoming payment requests. So if I click into here, if you are working on a monthly basis or you have scheduled payments to go out in advance for a term, this is where you're going to see those payment requests sitting. You can come and select them individually, or you can select them all. You can have a date range if you want to say, actually, I only want to see stuff for the next month or the next week or the next day. You can narrow down your results. I'm going to just select that Monday 4 till 5. And this screen is very similar to the screen that we saw earlier on for the payment request to be scheduled. Similar, well, virtually the same functionality, virtually the same screen. You can make amends like we saw earlier on. What's been particularly useful for clubs that have been using our system during the pandemic is the ability to move payments. So for clubs that have been working with standing order, I'm not quite sure how they've been able to operate efficiently, knowing how rigid standard orders are. They're either coming out or they're not, and if you've decided to cancel them all, then people have got to set them back up again and blah, blah. So here it's hopefully been really useful for you guys over the last few months, that you was able to come down here. You were saying, look, okay, we're not going to take £20 a month, but we would really appreciate it if you would be happy to contribute £10 a month to the club. So very easy for you just to change that amount. And equally, if you didn't feel that you could do that and you just wanted to push that date back, then every month you can just push it back a month further and hope that, that we're going to return sometime soon. So I think that's been a bit of a godsend. Over here, you can see whether somebody has pre-authorized payments or not. This is just a dummy account, so that's all no, but anybody paying by monthly would have been asked to pre-authorize payments. Okay, so that's the upcoming payment reports. Something that gets requested for pretty regularly is the ability to see what the total of these figures are. So, you know, show me how much is due. How much is due to come in the next month, and yes, that is an add-on for version 2. I'd like to get it on here before version 2. We're working on lots of other bits at the moment. Okay, so that's upcoming payments. Any questions on that in the chat? Give you a second to post anything. Nope, good. Okay, so next I'm going to go to financials and payment reports. It'd be really good to hear from you guys what you like, what you don't like about the payment reports. What would you like to see in version 2? So, for example, one report might be on a class-by-class basis, whether they're actually making any money or not on that on the class. So, okay, payment reports. Right, first of all, here we've got. I can actually find my cursor somewhere. Okay, so this is an activity period. So show me everything that has been paid or payments have been initiated. So paid is cleared funds. And if I had some pending payments, it would show here how many of those payments were initiated in the last week. So that is the member has gone to the app or they've logged in, they've clicked on pay by direct debit. So they've taken that action within that activity period. And if I click on that number, as you know, that takes you through to the underlying members. And then under here for the accounting periods, so your accounting period, and I'm surprised the number of accounts I go into and the accounting period is expired. And I'm thinking, how do you know what's being paid if your accounting period is expired? So in V2, our accounting period will be rolling. So at the moment, it's set and you have to go in and update it. So if I come over here to settings and accounts, here your accounting period is set here. So always make sure that's up to date. I see some clubs where it's actually wound right back to when they first started the system, which is fine because it gives you a complete picture of what's been paid and what's owing. But the bigger the date range, then obviously the longer the data takes to load. Okay, so yeah, that's your accounting period. So it's going to forecasted income for the accounting period, only really relevant in the current version with people that have monthly fees, because the system can go, okay, right, we've got 8 months left for the accounting period. I know I've got 500 members. I know they're paying £20 a month. Therefore, I can give you that forecasted income. Not so useful if you're requesting payment on a termly basis, because the system doesn't know what payment request you're going to be sending out in 3 months' time. Total paid for the accounting period, and then total outstanding. So 232 has been paid, 2K is outstanding, and again we can click through to any of these. If I just click on that 232, just want to show you one thing that quite a few people don't know that's here. If you see this amount received here, if I click on that, it will give you the breakdown of how people have paid. You won't see any online payments here, just because it's a dummy account, but here you can see right how much has been received by check, cash, bank transfer, and so on. And if I click on that number, I can drill down even further again, so I can see the number of people, sorry, I can see the actual people who paid in that way. And then you can export that out or you can print that. What else we got going on here? Let's go back into that amount that's been paid. So here, if you hover over the payment request, it will say when it's been paid, sorry, when it was requested, so the date and the time. And if I click on the hyperlink number, it will tell me when the transaction date was. I come back on the amount outstanding. So we've got 2K outstanding. The system is going to tell me again when it was requested. It will say how long it's overdue by. So that's determined in the, I come over here to payment options, go back into classes. There's a setting in here that determines that. So in here, payment due, what is in there? There's a setting somewhere where it says payment is due within X number of days, and then that feeds through into the payment reports here. It will tell you when the last reminder has been sent. So if they've received an automatic reminder, it will be recorded here. But of course, you can go back in and send another reminder just by selecting them, actions, and then send email. So the email template for this can be found over here. Email templates, and it's the payment reminder email. Now there's a little quirk here that there is actually a pre-cam one that sits in the background. For some reason it's not populating here, but yeah, you'd come in here and you'd write your own. You'd write your own email. You know that you can insert the fields here. And then just one thing to look out for down here. So total, you've got 2 fields. Yeah, total amount outstanding. So in here, you can insert that field and the system will bring through the total amount of outstanding for that particular person. Okay, come back over here. Back in. All right, what else can we do from here? So actions. So you can see that most of these are grayed out, but if I actually select some people, they come alive. So I can copy people to a group from here if I want to, similar to that, well, it's exactly the same way as on the contact side. So if you wanted to copy people over for whatever reason, you can. You can print this report, you can delete payment requests, you can archive payment requests. So if you just wanted to get some stuff off the radar, you can archive them, and then equally you can bring them back into play. You can turn off the automatic reminder, so that will just switch that off for you. You can cancel the pre-authorization. Now let's just check that out here. Okay, yeah, so if you just wanted to cancel it for 1 or 2 people, just tick them actions, cancel the pre-authorization here. And this switch to consolidated view, that's to do with installments. So if you do take payment by installments, then you're by default you'll see installment 1 of 2, sorry, 1 of 10, 2 of 10, 3 of 10, and so on. But you can actually switch to a consolidated view, which will show you the total amount you requested at the beginning, rather than the itemized view. From this page, you can export screen data. So just those kind of headline numbers, what you see here, or you can export detailed data. So your detailed data is your membership information out alongside the system field. So these are the system fields down here. So it's all that kind of transactional data. You can export what groups people are in as well. So if I select the group field, you'll see here that there's an edit next to it, and you can select actually, because you might not want to export every group that the person's in. They might be in 20 groups, especially if they're a squad member. But I'm only interested in actually these groups here being exported. So you have that flexibility there. You can save this export. So if this is an export that you was doing on a regular basis, you can save that. And then the next time you go in, you can just load it up. So it will just remember the fields that you selected and the order that you put them in. And you can save multiple ones. So now you've saved it, you can open it the next time, or you can delete it, or you can save it as a different export criteria. And then here, you've got the option to exclude statements or include them. Any questions here, guys? If you're new to the system, hopefully this is useful. If you're an existing user, then hopefully this is a good refresher. Okay, so any, well, actually, before I dive off from here, there is some other stuff to show you. This button here, I use this one quite a lot. So it's view all paid, pending, and overdue payments. So I'm basically saying, just give me everything. Above that are failed transactions. So a transaction would typically fail if a person cancels their payment, they cancel their direct debit, or they don't have enough money in their account. The system will notify you as administrators that it's failed. It will notify the buyer, if you like, that it's failed, and then it would capture it in here, and you can acknowledge those failed transactions, i.e. you go, yep, get it, seen it, untick it, so it comes off your radar. And then if it fails again the following day, because the system will try and collect it every day until it's successful, it will pop up here again. Over here on the right hand side, you can see here that these are grayed out. The ones that aren't grayed out are down the bottom, which is the transaction report. So this is where you can keep a track of the transaction fees. Again, because it's not any live payments in here, I haven't got any data, but we've got some column headings here. So you can see the date, you can see the time, you can see the gross amount, you can see the gross transaction fee, and then the net amount that you receive. The VAT in the transaction fees, so there is VAT in our fees. The net transaction fee, the payment method, and then these two fields here. So you've got a payout ID. So the payout ID is what you see on your bank statement. So you can reconcile what you see in LoveAdmin against your bank statement. So you would do an export from this transaction report, which will show, it might be that you get 10 payments paid out on this payout ID, and then you can merge that with your bank statement. And then you can just make sure, okay, right, on my bank statement it says £1,000, on LoveAdmin it says £1,000, this is the payout ID, and these are all the transactions that relate to that. So you can go all the way back. You can filter this report. So you can say, right, I just want to see for these, for this payment provider, that payment provider. You can see credits, you can see refunds, and you can see chargebacks. So chargebacks are when a person raises a payment dispute and those fees goes back. You can, it picks that up here. And then you can export this. You can also switch to an itemized view. So what that means is that, let's say there was a transaction and there was 4 or 5 things within that transaction. So Mary's mum paid something, and it was, I don't know, she paid her term fees, she bought a leotard, and she paid some competition fees, for example. So you've got 3 items in one transaction. So in here, it's going to show that consolidated amount. If you switch to an itemized view, it will break down. This will be the transaction fees for the leotard, this will be for the term fees, this will be for the competition fees. And the reason that's useful is, from a VAT perspective, you might have some items that are exempt and you'll have some items that aren't exempt. And so you can take the VAT from the transaction fee for the ones that aren't exempt and then put that into your VAT return. Okay, we come back to financials and payment reports. And if I just select some of these here and go to view reports, you see that they become active up here now. So I can see for the ones I've selected, so I can see what's being received for the activity date. And it might be that you've selected all your preschool classes or all your squad classes. You just want to see data on that. This is what you can do here. In version 2, by the way, and I saw a snippet of this earlier on, is you can group together items. So for example, you're requesting payment for your preschool and you've got your different preschool sessions. You can actually just roll that up into a preschool group, and you can say, all right, just show me the preschool, or just show me my rec, or just show my squad. So yeah, it's pretty neat. Okay, so then I can receive what's received for accounting period, what's outstanding for the accounting period, receive, pending, outstanding for the accounting period, which is that button here really, but only for the ones that you've selected, the items that you've selected. You can see what's pending. Just one point on pending. I think Kylie raised the point. At the moment, you might see pending payments in your payment reports that have been pending for a long time. The main reason behind that is with Go Cardless, they brought in some functionality a little while ago where if it's a dual signatory account, then it's kind of a semi-automated process. But basically, it puts a stick in the spokes, and it doesn't go through as per a normal transaction, and it sits there pending because the buyer has to take action to go through another process to make payment. So it just sits there as pending. Now, we'll do something about that for those that remain on Go Cardless, that we need to create an alert that picks up if a payment is pending for an abnormal period of time. But for London and Zurich, they don't have that feature where it requires this semi-automated step. The person buying, if it's a dual signatory account, can just approve it on behalf of the other signatory. So we won't have that pending issue with London Zurich payments. Payment summary, so that will just show me the payment summary page, the one that we're seeing now, but just for the ones that we selected, so it gets rid of the rest of the noise. And we've just covered off the transaction reports there. Any questions on here, guys? Okay, so we've got some going over here. Okay, there you go. You're able to mute everybody. Okay, I think everybody's muted now. Okay, let's just bring that over here. Work has been for Dynamite, and I'm also a parent. We are having many people unable to make payments. Some payment screens load but won't process payments and won't even open the payment section. My own account won't open payment. I've taken a screen recording for this. Could I ask you to, yeah, absolutely. Send that over to me. Yeah, send that through to dave@loveadmin.com and we'll look into that. Personally, I like getting the itemized view of payment reports and I export to Excel, which is useful. Okay, great. How long would the requests get archived for? They just get archived until you unarchive them. So it's not for a set period of time. How can we refund part payment when a competition has been cancelled, but they've also paid via Leotard and Chalk? At the moment, you can't record, you can't do a part refund if the payment has been made online. However, from September, you will be able to. So we're working with London and Zurich on part refunds. So that is coming. So I know that they are actively working on that functionality for us now. Will there be any changes to the way these reports look when we switch to London and Zurich? No, the reports will stay exactly the same in version 1. We need to think about how we want them to look in version 2. So when I look at these payment reports here, this is telling us, for example, income, regardless if something has been refunded, for example. Whereas I think actually it should tell you probably, or at least give you the option, well, show me actually what my income is, but deduct the refunds out of it so I can see what truly was my income, or at least give you the option to flip between the two, or show me the report minus the transaction fee. So again, I can actually see the net amount, how much did I actually receive. Also, we should, if I come over, if I just go into this report here, these columns are hard coded. So we want to give you guys the option to say, actually, what columns do you want to see here? So much more flexibility coming in version 2. One thing, is there anything else to show? Yeah, actually over here under contacts and say classes, if I click into this Monday 4 till 5 class, I just want to make sure that you're using one of the fields here. It's called payment status. And if I scroll down and put it onto, so for those that haven't seen this before, you can customize, I was just talking about in the payment reports, we want you guys to be able to customize the fields there. You can already do that on the contact side. And there's a system field called payment status. And if I save that, it's just like a traffic light system, really. It will tell you green for paid, red for hasn't paid, black for you haven't even requested a payment, which I find is the most useful tool for this payment status, because you've got 50 kids in a class. Sometimes somebody is going to slip through the net. But if you have this payment status field switched on and you see somebody that has a black dot, then you know that you haven't requested payment from them. So you need to get over here and quickly tick them, actions, and then request payment. You can also search on the payment request as well. So, sorry, the payment status. So if you wanted to say, look, just bring me back everybody that payment status, where are we? Yeah, show me everybody is equal to pending, paid, or outstanding. Then you can do that. Pending, I believe, shows in orange, and scheduled shows in grey. So you've got the full color range there. So you guys using that? Do you find that useful? pop it into the chat box if you do. What else to show you? If I suppose if I go into okay, person shows them on the registers. Okay, good. So yeah, get them added to the classes. Just one point on that with the, if you're going to add them to the classes, that works well if you're requesting it monthly, termly, etc. If you're doing it via the payment table and you are requesting payment via the payment calculator, then you need to add the payment status into the payment calculator because that's the function that you're using to request the payment. So yeah, you would add it into here. Okay. Yeah, I was just going to go into Daisy's record here just to show you down in here. You've got that payment history in here as well. Click on details and you can see that it's been paid there. If I scroll up to the top, actions, you can see upcoming payments here. You can see any outstanding payments, and you just see the same screens as what we saw earlier on, but this time just for the individual. So you can make changes here. You can request payment from here as well. Just one thing to watch out of that. So you can see that option there, request payment. That there relates to what is currently selected here. So if I wanted to request payment for my Monday 4 till 5 class, I need to do that first, then actions, then request payment. It's not great functionality. Really, I should click on payment request or request payment, and then it will just bring up a drop box of the options. But yeah, you have to select it in here. So actions, and then request payment, and then it will just go through the same cycle as what we saw earlier on. Okay, would you guys like to see anything else at all? Any questions? I said I'll talk about London and Zurich, my favorite subject. As you know, we've integrated London and Zurich into LabAdmin because of changes in the fees being charged by GoCardless and our commercial arrangement with them. It's been a big job at a time where it's been challenging for the business with COVID-19. We're migrating hundreds and hundreds of people from one payment provider to the other. So yeah, it certainly had some challenges for us. You'll either fall into two brackets. You will either be a club that has a lot of people pre-authorized, and we are migrating you from GoCardless to London and Zurich. Unfortunately, because your data sits with GoCardless, we don't have any control over that data. You are the data controller. So we'd love to be able to go to GoCardless and say, look, can we add that information? We'll give it to London and Zurich, and we could probably cut out many of the steps. But because GoCardless won't release it to us, rightly so, because it's not our data, they release it to you guys. So the process is you need to go to London, GoCardless, say, right, we want to move from you guys to London and Zurich. They will provide a bulk change form that you provide to London and Zurich, then GoCardless talk between themselves. You've then got to get the data from GoCardless, pass it to London and Zurich. We then have to map those direct debits that have been moved to London and Zurich to our system, and then finally your account will be activated, and we can collect payment via GoCardless. That's via London and Zurich. There are different milestone dates, and I'm sure you've all seen the comms about those milestone dates, which is the last date you're going to collect, your migration date, your go live date. Yeah, there's lots of moving components in it. It's not a particularly user-friendly process, but I guess it is what it is. If we want to retain those low rates, we have to move to London and Zurich. But if anybody's got any questions on that far, I mean, I'll answer them the best that I can. But if you're looking for specific answers on your account, then we can do that offline because we have that information to hand. Jenny says, nightmare filling in the forms for London Zurich. Yeah. I get it. You're moving your account. It's a nightmare. We're moving hundreds of them. It's challenging, as I say. Marissa, if we process refunds on the system, how quickly does the customer get the refund in their bank? Well, I don't know if you've seen the comms recently from Go Cardless about refunds. I think they've been massively caught short over the last 3 months or so. So with Go Cardless, they basically fund your refunds. So when a refund is made by Go Cardless, they are sending that money back really quickly to the customer. I think within a day they get it, and they're doing that out of their own pocket, and then they are taking the funds back from you guys out of future collections. But they're changing the way that they do that now. You've actually got to, I believe, have some kind of a float in your account with which they can refund out of, which I kind of get because they've got tens of thousands of customers. You know, they've only got so much cash that they can start shelling out of. So yeah, they're changing the way. With London and Zurich, they are actually going to do it the way that Go Cardless has traditionally done it, which is they will do it out of future collections. So let's say if you refunded £1,000 worth of fees, then the next time the fees come in, London and Zurich will take that money from you. Your question is how many days? The answer is I don't know. I'll find that out. It definitely isn't as quick as Go Cardless. So how many days when we do that refund? Just one point on the refund. Until we give you that functionality where you can refund it automatically via the system like you can with Go Cardless at the moment, and when we give you that additional functionality that you can do part refunds, what we've done as an interim, which we didn't have before, is that you can now go in and you can manually record a refund for a payment that was made online. Previously you wasn't able to do that, so you can actually do part refunds now, but it's a manual recording of it. You can do a part refund, you can do a full refund for a payment that's been made online. So that was some functionality we rolled out a month or two ago. Okay, but yeah, how many days for the refunds to clear when that functionality does come in? I'm sure I've got that information somewhere, but my brain cannot recall it. Okay, fine. All right. If we have outstanding fees due to pre-COVID, then change to London Zurich, will they be able to request the payment once we're back up and running? Yeah, absolutely. So it's just coming in via a different direct debit provider. The debt is still there against those people's accounts. Anything else? Any other questions, guys? No. I'm changing bank accounts, see above. Okay, so if you're changing bank account, that's fine. It doesn't, let's say if you was with Go Cardless and you was with bank account A and you were changing it to bank account B, that's fine. It will be exactly the same with London and Zurich. You don't have to set up a new London and Zurich account. You don't have to get your members to cancel their pre-authorizations and set up a new pre-authorization. You're just changing the bank account in which it gets paid to. Good. All right. Anything else? If not, we'll finish it there. Hopefully you found that a useful refresher. And great that you guys are hopefully going to get back in the gym soon. So we'll continue these webinars, these refreshers, for as long as people find it useful. And then I think we'll be switching to talking in more detail about version 2. So showing you maybe some of the wireframes that we've got on the different features and getting your feedback on that, because it'd be great to get that and make the system or design the system to exactly how you'd like it to be. Good. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time. And I guess same time next week, go outside and enjoy the sunshine if you have it. Okay. Many thanks. Bye for now.